Henri Matisse, 1869-1954. He was from France. He started painting at age of 20 when his mother gave him art supplies. So this shows that he was very interested in arts from his childhood. Henri Matisse was a brilliant artist. He made paintings and sculptures. He made prints and drew all the time. And he loved colors, especially brilliant colors. You can see here in the painting, bright red, bright yellow and dark green, all bright colors he has used in this painting. His trips to Spain, Italy, Germany and Morocco inspired him to paint. He painted all the colorful things around him. He painted his goldfish in bright red. At extreme left, you can see a bowl with red fish. This is a goldfish in bright red. He painted the bright ultramarine of the Mediterranean Sea as it looked from his window. He also painted an elegant lady with a bright green stripe across her colorful face. His paintings were so full of color that everyone was amazed. Some were even shocked. Never had such wide colors and fierce brush work been seen in France. He painted like a fauve, said the shocked art critics who usually dressed only in black and white. Now what is fauve? Fauve is a wild beast in French. Fauvist and an artist in the style of the wild beast. So they are telling us about Henri Matisse that he used to paint like a wild beast. Like all great artists, Mattise explored art from different times in history, other cultures, and the art of his fellow artists. He was very influenced by the patterns he saw in African tribal art. Below are examples of patterns in African textiles. This is Egyptian curtain, which Henri painted in 1948, and its oil on canvas. I can identify bright and bold patterns in this Matisse painting. I know the beautiful patterns in African art influenced Mattisse. This is a portrait of Matisse's friend. As time went on, his paintings became more abstract. He was more interested in designing with colors and shapes than making the picture look real. In the later stage of Matisse's life, he became ill and it was very difficult for him to stand and paint. So Mattisse started doing cutouts compositions when he was in a wheelchair. And in the later part of his life, wheelchair bound and unable to fully take care of himself, Henri Matisse began to experiment with collage and paper cutouts. You can see this in this slide. Matisse began to experiment with collage and paper cutouts as a way of continuing to make art, sometimes representational and sometimes abstract. His bold, simple shapes became iconic of his style, and his collages remain same of his best loved work. After many years of making colorful paintings, Matisse grew old. He had to remain sitting and he couldn't move around as much. His mind and spirit, however, remained as fierce, with color as ever. From his wheelchair, he thought of a new way of making art. By cutting shapes out of colored paper and putting them on walls, he created a collaged garden of color, as bright and vivid as the paintings he had always made. Here we have some pieces of artwork from Henri Matisse. This is a collage by Henri Matisse in which he has used simple bright colors, and it is more of a figure. In second slide, he has made the horse, the rider and the clown, and all this is in paper. Matisse collage designs have been used to make stained glass windows too. Here you can see interior of the chapel, the tree of life, stained glass. Henry was becoming weak day by day, but his love for art was never ending. So he continued working on cutouts when he was on bed. It's time for a quick review on Henri Matisse. Henri Matisse, he was a French artist known for both his use of color and his fluid and original draftsmanship. He was a draftsman, printmaker, and sculptor, but is known primarily as a painter. Mattise died of a heart attack at the age of 84 on 3 November 1954. Now it's time to read the book Matisse Garden and find out about his beautiful paper collages.
Matisse's Garden by Samantha Friedman. Illustrations by Christina Amadeo, with reproductions of artworks by Henri Matisse. One day, the artist Henri Matisse cut a small bird from a piece of white paper. It was a simple shape, but he liked the way it looked and didn't want to throw it out, so he pinned it on the wall of his apartment to cover up a stain. The bird seemed lonely by itself, so Matisse cut out more shapes, which joined the bird on the wall. As he cut shape after shape from the white paper, he thought about a trip he had taken many years before to the island of Tahiti. The shapes looked like the birds, fish, and seaweed he had seen there. There's a cat. As his scissors glided through the paper, he thought about how a bird must feel when it flies. As he cut, Matisse felt like he too was flying. Soon his walls were covered with plant and animal shapes. They captured the feeling of soaring and the sensation of swimming, but they didn't convey the bright blue of the sky or the deep blue of the sea. So he made a new work, this time pinning his white forms to sheets painted azure and marine blue. Let me see. Wow. Look at all the shapes. Look like they're from the ocean. When he saw how the color brought his shapes to life, he asked his assistants to paint sheets of paper in ranges of shades from vermilion to lemon to violet. Instead of using only white paper, he decided he would make his shapes by cutting directly into color. He tried a pink leaf against a background of orange and a green leaf against a background of black. He cut leaves of other hues and set them against backgrounds of every shade, experimenting with different harmonies and contrasts, the way the colors played with and against each other. What counts most with colors are relationships, Matisse thought. He realized that every shape he cut created another shape. Instead of throwing away the leftover pieces, he added them to the composition. They weren't leftovers at all. Matisse cut and cut. The leftover papers fell to the floor. You can see this piece came out of this piece. I wonder if maybe these pieces came from that one. Sometimes the shapes he cut were simple, like squares. But when he arranged them in just the right way, they took flight like a swarm of bees. Do you see that? They look like bees. He composed his shapes to show familiar scenes, like a woman in a room with a vase of flowers. And he turned familiar objects into simple forms, which he then composed into patterns. Love this pattern. His cutouts started very small and got larger, and then large as a wall, until they stretched across the walls of his studio, curving around corners and covering doors. Mattise realized happily, I have made a little garden around me where I can walk. Shall we see the garden? Beautiful. And for his garden, Mattise cut a small bird from a piece of blue paper. The end.
Mattise liked to use blocks of colors and almost created frames, which you can see here in these two pictures. See this black, it is a block of black paper, a block of yellow paper, and then he has cut a beautiful irregular shape and placed over the block of papers, and he has created a beautiful composition. We have uploaded these sheets separately. You can have them print if you want for your reference. Before we look at the art lesson tutorial, here are two more examples of Mattise style collages. Get ready for the art project. The topic is Collage C with Henri Mattise. Material required: computer colored paper, all shades of green, all shades of blue, magenta, bond paper, scissors, glue, and black marker.
Okay, boys and girls, so today we are going to be starting off by making a Mattise collage, and something that I want you to notice is that he liked to use blocks of color, and it almost created frames. So the very first thing you're going to be doing is going to the tables and getting 3 blocks of colors that you like. So I grabbed these 2, so I can arrange them however I want. It's kind of going to have it become a frame. And I just want to show you this. This is one that I got off of what I'm calling the garage sale wall, that if you cut something out and you don't want this one, what would be called the negative space. The positive is the part that you cut out, and the negative would be what's left over. If you want to give that and put it up for sale on our for sale board, that would be lovely if you wanted to donate that to the cause. So I'm not going to go ahead and glue everything because I'm first going to arrange it and then I'm going to go down and glue it. So now that I have my background, I can start to fool around with thinking about my ocean. And something that one student did was that they just took a long piece of paper and they cut it out into a wave shape, and you can do this. Now remember, it's not like you're trying to make a scene. It's not like you're going to have a fish jumping out of here or something. It should be that you can look at your artwork from any angle and that it reminds you of elements from the ocean. So it's not like we're making a picture. Now some kids are very interested in making seaweed or in making like sea stars. I'm going to actually show you how to do that right now, and I think I'll do it on this paper. Some of you are going to find that you have paper that has one white side and then color on the other. If you are using one like that, you want to do what I'm about to show you on the white side, and I'll explain this to you right now. So let's say that you wanted to do something like Mattise did here with a piece of seaweed. Then what you're going to do, and I'm going to use Sharpie, you're going to have a pencil, I just wanted it to be that you could see it, is you're going to do the central stem, And then it's like you're making the pieces of seaweed that are going to come off. And you can even do them where they kind of have a forked edge or something like that. And then later on, what you're going to do is you're going to take your scissor and you're actually going to cut around. Now, I'm not actually going to, you don't have to do what I'm doing here. You could just cut. Want to make a line for yourself, that would be fantastic. And now what I've done is made this line for myself, and I'm not going to cut it out right now because I think it would be too long and too tedious. I'll show you in a time-elapsed one in a little bit. But this is how you would end up with that. So I'm just going to set that off to the side so that you can look at that. Another you could do that he liked to do is just to take something long like this, and let's say you want to do a motion of the ocean, then you could just draw with your scissors like this, and you've now made a little motion of the ocean thing, and you can put that along here, along your edge, which is kind of fun. So they're just shapes that remind you of the ocean, but you don't necessarily have to make it look like an ocean scene. Let me show you, some kids were very interested in making a swirl. The way that you do a swirl is that you are going to cut like you're making a circle. So I'm cutting around and around and around. But just when it seems like I could cut it off here, I'm not going to. I'm going to start to cut smaller. So I'm constantly cutting a little bit smaller than I did before until I reach the very center. Now what I'm going to do is work my way back. Because if you actually took this and tried to glue it right now, it would look like this. And you'd be like, Miss Eatharts, what happened? Well, it's because all you did was cut into it, but you didn't remove anything. Now what we're going to do is remove it. So check this out. You're going to start back where you started, but this time I want you to put your scissor next to where you started. And you're going to cut next to where you were, next to where you were. If a piece falls off, no big deal. You're going to keep cutting next to where you were. And here you're just going to go right. So now it's almost like I'm cutting right in between the two parts. And then when I'm finished, I'm actually going to end up with two swirls. I'm going to have the inside swirl and the outside swirl. So this would be cool to use both of them, or you can use one and give the other one away. Let's see. Some kids really like the idea of a sea star. Notice again that if it's white on one side and dark on the other, make sure you draw on the white side. So I'm just going to kind of do like this, and then I'm going to cut around that in order to make my sea star. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that right now. So I go around here, around the line, until you're finished. And remember, this becomes the positive piece because this is the part that I cut out. Oh, that stinks. It showed through there, but your pencil won't do that. This becomes the positive piece, but you can always donate this piece to someone else and it would look very, very cool. So I can put that here. And now I'm going to come back and cut out this seaweed piece. Then I think you're going to be good to go.
Why all shades of green and blue? Because the theme is marine. And you know, under the sea, what we see, what the color of the sea is. Now, I'm not going to tell you. You have to explore and find out, and I want beautiful ideas. Please don't copy the assignment which you have already seen in the video. You have to come up with your own beautiful ideas, but the colors you can keep the same. I hope you like the assignment and enjoy it. And after completing this assignment, there is an artist statement sheet which you are supposed to print out, and you are supposed to fill this sheet and submit this sheet along with your artwork. Thank you.